I never remember the lighter. Oh, hey, I do have a lighter. Let's go. All right, all right. Got to start the use. Let's get lifted. Quick little tote. Quick little tote. All right. Oh. Ooh. Ooh. I tried to keep it together. Couldn't do it. Stay trippy. All right. And we good. All right, all right. We in this thing. Gang Gangsters, Potty Train, and all that. So you are now watching Drew Boy Sports Show. I'm your host, Kyng Ralph. Doing a solo dolo show today, and I hope everybody's doing well. But before we get going, got to get all the pleasantries out the way. Make sure if you want to do any podcasts, music videos, photo shoots, call the number on the bottom of the screen, 707 Fitboxer. Make sure you go like, comment, subscribe, share on all the socials on the bottom of the screen. I'm gonna have it scrolling along throughout the show. But like the He Say She Say page on Facebook, subscribe to Juke Media, J.U.K. Media on YouTube, Juke Sports Show, J.U.K. Sports Show. Follow that page on Instagram. You can follow me at KYNGRALPH. And you can find me on everything, every platform pretty much with that same handle. And then add an underscore for X or Twitter. And Cam went viral last weekend. I talked about it on last week's show about the video. Now he's finally released the podcast, his statement, apology, and all of that. I want to say big shout out to Cam. I've already looked at Cam as someone that's an inspiration to me, but also I think that he's someone that can be a leader and a pillar in our community. And I think with his apology, he definitely showed that. For all accounts, I haven't seen anybody really criticize him in the actual position of the video. More so, why are you there? If you're doing it again, this is why you can't always go back to your neighborhoods and things of that such. I haven't seen anybody criticize him for his role in the actual fight. And so he took accountability for letting it get to that point, being a willing participant in it to some degree, and what the ramifications could have been, where it could have led to, and taking your mind there. Where most people were just like, "See, this is somebody hating on Cam and wooty wooty wah." And it was he took full accountability, apologized to the guys that were in the scuffle, apologized to the kids, the parents, his organization, and so I think with the way that he's handled this situation lets you know that he's a stand up dude and he gonna stand on business. And so I think being willing to take the heat, take the blame, being the bigger person lets you know what kind of leader he is and someone that can be a inspiration and a motivator and a I'm trying to think of the word mentor to the younger generation. So big shout out to Cam. I did like his apology. He put out a lot of different details about things that we were laughing and joking about, but it was like, what if he had thrown Buddy over the balcony? What if somebody was like, because we all talked about how big Cam is, what if somebody pulled out a gun and was like, I'm not fighting this big nigga, I'ma shoot him. And so I think being willing to look at the big picture of what this could have done and what it means to him to continue to keep doing this, because he also said that he was going to continue to keep doing this. And so big shout out to Cam. Um, one just wanted to point that out. That is one of the things that why he inspires me and why he's one of my many motivations. And so they did my boy dirty, not necessarily my boy because he played for the Broncos, but that man, Russell Wilson, um, it's one of those things where they did him dirty, bro. So if for y'all that don't know, Russell Wilson is going to be released by the Broncos. And just like when I seen him, he was on the I Am Athlete podcast. And if everything went the way that he's saying and painting the picture, because right now he's controlling the narrative because he's the person that's speaking. But if everything's going and went the way that he, like his perspective and his account of everything, there the Broncos are doing and Sean Payton are doing him a very big disservice, and they're doing him dirty. They fucking him over. It's like if we had ignored like his first season with the Broncos, it would make a little bit of a more difficult, easier conversation to say why they're making this decision and that you would agree with it. But it's like his second season was pretty good football if you ignore the first season. But it's like with having that first season where teammates is cussing him out, stories is coming out about how he is as a teammate, how he wants special treatment. And then just the play on the football field is another thing that kind of puts you where, why would, yeah, no. And so, like, last year, he goes into it first year, he's 61% completion percentage, 16 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. They go what were they, 4-13? No, 4-11. I guess he didn't play in 2 games. And then you go this year, you go 7-8, which is trending in the right direction. The stats aren't too crazy. He actually threw for less yards, but he does have 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. But he also has a 66, almost 67 completion percentage. And so that's where it's like I'm watching him play decent football. It's going in the right direction, going to a new team, new environment, new culture, and they're trending in the right direction. And then instead of eating the money, it's like keeping him where he's trending in the right direction, and he's already played at what was he, a 6-time Pro Bowler, 6 or 7 time Pro Bowler, and so it's just like to eat that type of. I know another detail I'm missing is Russell Wilson was cutting him leaves dead 84 million in dead cap space that the Broncos have to eat, which is 84 million that they can't use. And so it just kind of makes it like, what? It's a head scratcher. I feel bad for him. Um, to a certain degree, I understood the business side of things, but it's like at your 2 seasons in, you can't give up on that. But at the same time, I'm the same person that'll criticize somebody for holding on too long. And so if Sean Payton genuinely felt like that Russell Wilson was just not the answer, then I get it because given what you've been paying him and given what you already have given up for him, he hasn't met the expectations. So I don't really like. I'm not really tripping about that, but it's just when you watch the game tape, the film, hear the stories of like them asking him. Russell Wilson says that Broncos came to him, told him to waive his uh, injury clause, so if he got hurt, they wouldn't be pretty much they wouldn't have to pay him. And so, no, I'm not waiving that. If I worked hard to get that on my contract, that was a big stipulation in my contract. Why would I do that? And then it's like on top of that, like just the way he was treated, they were winning and then they benched him. I like they were still in the playoff push and then they benched him. I just didn't really get what was going on there. And so that part makes me feel bad for him. Um, I don't. I just don't get it, man. I just yeah, 100%. I just don't get it. Um, and I just realized I had the wrong. I've been pressing the wrong button. See, that's what happens when you record. You gotta put a better product out there, Ralph. Get it together. But I had the wrong title and wrong question up. This question, Caleb May and Daniels, Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, all decide not to work out at the combine, and so they don't work out. I don't think either one of them did their measurables. I don't think they did their measurables, but I think they might have done their physicals except for Caleb. I gotta look that up. But they don't work out. They don't do their medicals, and it's one of those things where this is the definitely we're at a crossroad where you can definitely see the difference in the way and the mentality of the modern day athlete. And Caleb Williams, who's been crazy hype, would have went overall first overall last year had he came out. Should, for all accounts, go number one in this draft. If everybody feels like that already, why would I go out there and work out? And then if everybody's got me going number one, what pick are you? Oh, you pick 12? Yeah, I'm not. I'm not even. It's the point of us talking. I'm not gonna be there when you get there. And it's like you might look at it like, oh well, what if we trade for him? That sets a bad precedent, a bad first example. And it's like you're gonna do what you're gonna do that's best for you. I'm gonna do the same. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that because players I think the one thing about this player empowerment now we're getting players that have podcasts and so they get to give their perspective of situations that we've seen from the outside, and then now they get to control the narrative of what actually happened from their perspective versus the business is always going to give you the corporate answer where the player that was actually in the situation could be like, nah, like they started reducing my minutes, which then if you look at my stats are going down. Then they use that as an example or a reason to put me on the bench. And it's so many different layers. The ability to control someone, how much they play in a game can alter results when it comes to statistical categories that may or may not affect your contracts and incentives. And that's the part where I think now we're in a certain space where the player can control their destiny to a certain degree. Now they can't up and just say, no, I don't want to play here. And then, because at the end of the day, Caleb can say, I don't want to go to Chicago, and Chicago still draft him. He ain't got no choice. if he want to play football at least. And so I don't think either one of them should have worked out. Um, there's a part of me where I'm like, because I come from an era and where like if you can ball or you can hoop, you can get out on that field, you're gonna be out there and compete. Where now it's like it makes it look like they don't want it as much because you do got to make a business decision. Where before it was like, oh, the love for the game is why I'm out here. Where it's like, nah, I'm gonna use this, and then this is gonna be a catalyst for what's for more things to come in my life. And so, yeah, I don't think there was anything wrong um, with what they did. I just think we're in a new day and age, a new era where the athlete is going to make that business decision and then they're going to stand on it at the end of the day. And so I don't have a problem with them. I thought it was a good combine. I think we have a very deep quarterback, receiver, corner, and offensive line like draft class. I think the edge rushers is straight too. Like I think you got about like 5, 6, 7 deep on that one where it's like 40 wide receivers that can go. It's like 7 quarterbacks that can go. It's 7 or 8 offensive linemen, including if you think tackle to tackle, guard, center, all that. So I think it's a really good draft. I'm very much looking forward to when I get to break down like the actual tape on these players. I'm gonna release some content on that I just recorded. Be breaking down the combine soon. Probably this week. I'm gonna look at the footage and see how it come out. But it be the latest would be next week. Next Wednesday. All right. Next up. Yeah, I'm gonna save the NBA power rankings for last. But I was watching Gil's Arena and they got to talking about who would win and what was the golden era of basketball, who would win between the 2000s team and the 2010s team. And so I'm not going to talk about whether or not who was going to win because that list was so ugh. Like there's some things and it might sound sacrilegious to some people, but when you really truly think about it, given that a player might be really good in a 14-year career, he was good for like 8 of them at a high level. Do we look at the guy like if I'm looking at so the 2010s team was 2010 to 2019 and then the other year was 2000 to 2009. So when we look at someone like Dirk was fired in the 2000s and then probably 2013 is when Dirk wasn't Dirk no more, 2014. So now I have someone where he's on this list of the best players from that era, but it's someone that had a longer leg, was played for the whole 2000s. Yes, Dirk was a great player in the 2000s part and a little bit of the 2010s, but I wouldn't say that I would take him over like Giannis. Like Giannis won 2 MVPs. I don't know if he was a defensive player yet. He might have been a defensive player and 1 MVP, one of the two. And it's like when I start to compare these numbers, it's like, all right, we're looking at names here, not really who they were during that time period. And so, because they had like Tim Duncan, and Kobe were like the 2010s, like third team. But it's like if you look at those names and then think about people that played in that whole era, like I'm trying to think, I think Paul George would be a perfect example. Like it's hard to find two people at Paul George's position that was better than him in his era for 9 years. Where you got someone that's on an honorable mention, where you might take him over as an individual player. Who are you taking, Paul George or Draymond Green? It's like the no brainer is Paul George. So why is Draymond on this third team for the 2010 team? And then you putting Paul George on the honorable mention. I just, yeah, very much disagree with that. So I'm not going to get into the who would win the game. But I think the golden era of basketball was the 2000s. And so, hate to sound biased, but I just personally feel like when it comes to certain aspects of the game, if we did do the basketball game and we just went first team versus first team, I still think that 2000s would win. I think that they have a good blend of the modern day athlete with the toughness and tenacity that was had from the 2000s. And so, like, you get the 2000s has a blend of the 90s into it, along with a blend of what goes into the 2010s and what made the 2010s so great. And so, um, like, who gonna guard Shaq? Like, who gonna guard Prime Duncan? And then at that point, it's like, all right, you could possibly go Kobe, you can go Dirk, you can go Jason Kidd, Steve Nash, Allen Iverson could play the point. Like, what five are you really going with? And me personally, I'm always gonna feel like Tracy McGrady always gets slighted because if we doing a 2000s team and Tracy McGrady not on it, I'm offended. It's like I get that LeBron is nice and all, but if I'm making a team, LeBron is just not on my 2000s team. Now, if I was doing a 2010s team, yeah, LeBron is definitely starting at the small forward spot, if not point guard, depending on what kind of lineup you do. I can sit here and go into all these analytics and things of that such about why, but I feel like just watching the tape, I just feel like the 2000s is better than the 2010s. I feel like the games were, I feel like it was a better watched basketball game. I feel like there's a lot of bad basketball that people get away with because we're trading threes for twos now, where it's like we're not going to make as many, but each one we make is going to cost more and going to be more. So we're getting higher scores. We're getting the game is much more open up where if you can't shoot, you can't even be on the court at this point. Like, not even like it used to be where like the big man would dominate in the mid to low post. It's like, nah, if you can't shoot threes, why are you on this court? And there's some things that I do personally feel like defense is just effort. And I get it that we're way better offensive players now, but I don't see where his offense is so good. It looked like there's players out there that just look like they're not even trying on defense. And that's the part for me that makes it like I get it that offense is better. That's why we're scoring more points. That's why the game is harder to guard. But I can tell when people ain't even trying. And that's the part for me that's really fucking me up. It's like I can tell you're not even trying out there, yo. And so I got a little bit of time left. Let's do this NBA power rankings. And these power rankings, they make me mad. Cause then like when I start doing my research and I start looking into like who has like what team in what order. And then I start doing my list and I'm like, bro, what the fuck? This shit trash. Like, why do you have this team And one thing, when I do my power rankings, I hold a lot of weight to sustain success. Like going back through my list, I've had the Nuggets at 7. I've had the Nuggets at 2. I've had the Nuggets at 8 on another one. So it's like the Timberwolves have always been in my top 3 ever since I did, like, because I didn't do a pre-season one. I did one once the season started, and ever since that one, since the season started, Timberwolves have been in the top 3. And so, but seeing that, like, this one list I saw, it was like the T Wolves was at 7. It's like, what? So, you know me, I start mine from the bottom. Now we here, we in the thing, and so we got Pelicans. Um, I just like the way that they've been playing basketball lately. The actions that they've had on the court when it comes to having Zion kind of be like a point forward to a certain degree is opened up a lot. Shooters can shoot because he's the one player on the court that really can't shoot like that. Because your 5 is pretty straight with Valanciunas. He can stretch. He can set a hard screen, um, face up, post up, and so partnering him with 4 shooters where he's the man coming downhill, I think is one is crazy. And 2, how they've been playing lately really got me jumping on the bandwagon, I guess you could say. So right now they're 5th in net rating, 6th in defensive rating, and then their top 12 offensive rating. And so I think those things that they're playing really good defense right now, being able to have a BI, a CJ, and a Zion when it gets to the playoffs, because I just personally feel like when you get to the playoffs, yes, team basketball is important, but you need them guys that can go create something. And that doesn't matter what sport it is. That's why I like a guy that can hit the home run and you ain't gotta worry about all these singles and doubles. Home run when I swing is always gonna make top dollar in baseball. Someone that can hit the home run, I guess you could say, would take a 5-yard out to the house. A running back that's always susceptible, or there's always a possibility of him scoring the touchdown on his play. Is like it's it's important. It's phenomenal. It's why people get paid the big dollars. And so, um, forgot what I was talking about. But in the playoffs, you need someone who's going to be able to get a bucket when you really when it really matters. So I got Pelicans at 10. I got the Heat, good old reliable Heat. Um, I don't. They irritate me because whenever you just think that they just never going like, oh, this their year, they're gonna fall off. Like, no, here they come again with a bunch of randos out here getting busy. And so I got Miami Heat at 9. Like, this is crazy. They got NBA.com got the Orlando Magic at 15. And they've been as high as like 3 at one point. So I'm like, I don't know, man. I just think that sometimes we look at names instead of looking at the team and looking at the way they're playing. Like they're in a 4-game winning streak right now. Top 5 in defense. It's just they offense could just need some work. But I got the Heat at 9. Um, then they're always gonna play tough defense, and they're gonna have good enough offense to get you through the season. And then Jimmy Butler's gonna turn it up and get it going. And so that's why I got the Heat at 9. I feel like they're just a little better than the Pelicans. Plus, I can just trust them a little more because we're down to that stretch run where it's time to make a run to get to the playoffs. And so I got Orlando Magic, like I just said. Where we at? Where we at? Where we at? There we go. Top five defense, top 12 in net rating. So I think they have a plus when it comes to the net rating. They play at a very slow pace, but they maximize everything that they're going to do. And so they're going to have issues. They're going to struggle with someone that can really put up points and get buckets. But when you have someone like Paolo, Wagner, Suggs, Anthony, like these are all players that can go get you a bucket when you need it, and they're young, got a lot of energy, play good defense. That's why I got them as a team that people really need to watch. And I've been saying this. It's kind of fun. There's been a few predictions that have happened this year that I predicted that would happen last season, but it's neither here nor there. And so I got the Magic at 8. Clippers are at 7. Top 5 in offense, top 6 in net rating. They're actually doing a lot better on defense than I expected when I looked this up. They're top 12 in defensive rating. But the thing for me is why I couldn't have them, and they've had a lot of success lately, why I can't have them so high right now is I always take into consideration injuries. And so losing Russ, who just broke his hand for however long that he's going to be out for, you would assume with a broken hand, he'd be out at least a month, month and a half. So that at this point, I probably put him back coming just before the um the playoffs start. The good thing though is that it's his hand, so he can still run and still stay in shape. So he's not coming in winded when it is time to get back to the playoff run. And so Cavs at 6. They've been on a crazy run over the last couple months. Really worked their way back in. 'Cause I don't even think I had them in my power ranking last time I did one. And so they're top 3 in defensive rating, top 15 in offense, got a +5 net rating, putting them 4th in the league. I think they just been playing really good basketball. Donovan Mitchell has been carrying them. I think now they're starting to get back. Mobley is back. And so I feel like they're in a good spot to make this push. That shot that Strauss hit the other night was like, I hate when you lose like that. That just got to be the most frustrating thing. Going back to my playing days, if I lost like that, I'm glad that that's never happened because I probably would have gotten into a fight. And so I think they got a lot of depth on that team. Harris LeVert, Mobley, Garland, Mitchell, Jared Allen. I feel like they got a lot of depth on this team that can really make a strong ass playoff push, especially with the Knicks going down. Kind of helps solidify one of those top spots. So I feel like the Cavs could definitely get at least. I feel like they could work their way up to get at least 2 home court advantage playoff rounds. And so Cavs at 6, Bucks at 5. For me, and I've seen what they've been doing. They're getting better. I feel like they're becoming a hotter team. And I just trust them, but I'm not gonna put them over any of the ones that have been above because I feel like it's been more consistent on their end. And so Bucks top 4 offensive rating. I feel like with that hype, that much firepower, and then their defense is about middle of the pack, which is cool. I think their offense is strong enough there where nobody's going to be able to take advantage of that defense to the point where they can outscore the Bucks still. So that's why I got the Bucks. Um, not to say nobody, because I still think the Celtics are better, but it's not too many teams that could take advantage of that weakness, to put it that degree. And I'm gonna use that comparison in another for another team. But I got the Thunder. Thunder been good old young and consistent this whole season. Feel like maybe they deserve to be a spot higher. I should probably have them higher than the Nuggets. Given the consistency, top three, they're top four in all categories that I've been mentioning as far as my metrics for teams. And so third in offensive rating, fourth in defensive rating, second in net rating. They and then they got the same record, but I am going to take into consideration that the Nuggets are on a winning streak right now, and that's the part for me where I can't really take that away from the Nuggets. So that's why the Nuggets are a little higher. They have the same record, and then the Nuggets are on a 6 game win streak. So I'm going to give them the nod, although they got lesser numbers and everything. And so I got the Nuggets at 3. I got the Timberwolves at 2. First in defense, third in net rating, and a little below average when it comes to offense. 114.4 offensive rating, putting him in 18th. I think that it is. They're another one of those teams where they have a particular weakness, and there's really only a few teams in the league that can exploit or exploit that that weakness, and that is Rudy Gobert. They run a lineup down the stretch of a game where it's Rudy Gobert and Cat. Cat is mobile enough to hold his own, but Gobert is a liability. So he's one of the people. Can you shoot enough for him to get him off the court? And when you really think about it, it's like, all right, so like the Suns, um, Denver, maybe Thunder, Clippers. But it's like, can they impose their will on the other team as well? Because how many teams can match up with Cat being able to do what he can do at the 4 spot instead of being at the 5? And then you multiply that with Rudy Gobert being there as a back, holding down the back end of the defense. Like, how many teams can really hold up against that too? So that's why right now I'm a defensive guy, and they play really good defense. So I'm gonna believe that they can get it done. Especially, I haven't even mentioned Anthony Edwards and his ability to take over a game and how good he is defensively on the front end. So I think they got a really good basketball team, but right now nobody's playing better than the Boston Celtics. Boston Celtics have been whooping everybody ass. They are 5 games above the Timberwolves for best record in the league. Yep, 5 games. And they lost 1 game out of the last 10 games, which was their last game. But yeah, they just play better basketball. That team, I knew once they got Porzingis that it was going to be a tough one. I felt like he fit a need. I felt like they needed each other, I guess you could say, because Porzingis can step into a role where he doesn't have to be the guy. He doesn't even have to be the second guy. On many nights, he just has to be the third or fourth guy on the squad that's dependent on. Because if, excuse me, Tatum, Brown, Drew, and then him, between the four of them, the job should get done. And so, because what four can anybody else throw out that's going to be better than that? Because, like, yeah, you can sit here, you can go, all right, so give me Jokic, Murray, Porter, and dang, what's my boy name? I feel bad. What was Buddy's name? But the Nuggets big four, it's really gonna fuck me up once I see his name. I'm gonna be pissed. But the big four for them, what is his name? Aaron Gordon. Damn, bro. I don't know why I couldn't think of his name, bro. I'm pissed. But that's yeah, no one smoking weed before the show. Um, but no, not too many teams are gonna be able to throw out that type of big four. And so I just think the Celtics, they play really good offense, really good defense. They're top, I think they're top two. Yeah, they're top two in everything, in every category. And so I just feel like they're playing all around basketball. Not too many teams you're gonna find are gonna be better. And yeah, yeah, they're one in offense, second in defense, and first in net rating. And the net rating jump is like double. So they're just playing way better basketball than anybody else. Too many weapons, too much defense, all playing in their primes to a certain degree. And so thank you all for watching. I appreciate it, but I got to get up out of here. I know I talked y'all ear off. I know I was stumbling, fumbling, but thanks for staying with me. And make sure you go and you subscribe, like, share, comment, everything that's on the bottom. You can find me at KYNGRALPH at everything at an underscore for X or Twitter. Follow us on Instagram, Juke Sports Show, J.U.K. Sports Show, Juke Media on YouTube, J.U.K. Media, and like the He Say, She Say page on Facebook. Peace, love, and the Aces 3P.